Hi everybody, it's me again. Last video, thankfully some of you say, was cut very short because I didn't have enough space or something like that on here. So it just cut short, so I just took a little bit off to make it sound a little bit better. Didn't do much, as if you watched it, you know not much was done. Well, anyway, going back to a little bit on what I was talking about seeing a psychologist. This is in the 90s. I saw her, and she said that I'd never be happy until I became a trans woman and had the full surgery and everything like that. And that was way back in the 90s, and I didn't have my surgery until 2013. So it shows you how long I took to get to where I am today. Had nothing. Most of it was to do with me and actually doubting myself and everything like that, and not being comfortable with me, and I did think that that was my lot, being the boy, and I'd have to survive being like that and staying that way. But as you can see, I couldn't cope with it. It was a battle every day. It really was a battle every day. I go through battles again now, but it's something totally different from the gender thingy, gender dysphoria. So that's just another matter which has nothing to do with my gender and my being trans. But some do think it is. But I know for a fact it's not, because I know what's going on in my head. Hello, Simba. It's okay. I've been out on the patio this morning, cleaned half of it, and I've moved stuff around, so Simba's having a good smooch and I'll be having a good sniff. Yet it is another glorious day. Just a few tiny little wispy clouds in the air, which is lovely, in the sky, which is gorgeous, and hardly a breeze here, and it is just beautiful. This side here, I've got a couple of plants which I watered earlier. They need watering, and so I'll be doing the others later on this afternoon after the sun's gone away from them, because the sun does hit hard on part of the patio, but it just slowly goes after about 4 o'clock. So that they'll be having a good drink then, and that's nothing to do with being trans. With being trans, but there you go. That's my life for you. Dogs and plants. That's me. Dogs and plants. Yeah. So yes. So that was in the 90s, and then when I finally plucked up the courage, I suppose it is courage, to go further on my journey, I told the doctor I was seeing at the clinic about seeing this kind of psychiatrist, and my name changed, and he turned around and said, he said I could easily, and this was within about a year of my starting the hormones. He said you've got all that in place. He said I could turn around to you now and say, go home, pack a case, and go now and have your surgery, because according to them, because I changed my name to Tony with an I, which is a female version of Tony with a Y. They saw it as my being living real life thing, sort of living real life as a woman, even though I was still a boy, and I was dressed as a boy, but my name was still Tony with an I. And a lot of people used to ask me questions because of where I used to work. I had to wear a name badge and everything with Tony with an I. And people go, oh, what's that? Why is it Tony with an I and everything? So I'd come up with all excuses and whatnot, sort of because I didn't want anyone to know that I was trans deep down, and it came bubbling up the surface. And where I was working at the time, when it finally come to a head, as it were, the manager himself and his assistant managers were absolutely amazing, because I did have a breakdown, and it was awful. It really was a horrible breakdown. This was about 6 months to a year before I started on the hormones and things like that, and the breakdown was horrible. And but sort of they were fantastic. I went from being full-time to part-time. I went back to full-time, and I was always helping them out. And they both said to me, you can still come back and work 1 or 2 hours a day if you want to, but we want you to carry on working, because because they were slimming down on the staff, and I was one of the ones that they said that they wanted me to stay because I was really good with the customers, blah blah blah, whatever like that. So which is very flattering, really, because so I've never had somebody tell me how good I was at doing something before. I just cracked on and done it to the best of my ability, and that's it. So and well, that's it. That was that, and. But 6 months after I had my breakdown and I left, I just gave up working there. Unfortunately, I shouldn't have. I should have just hung on for 6 months because the company ceased trading, and so everyone who was left working there had a little bit of redundancy and stuff like a redundancy payment, which wasn't a lot. It never is a lot anyway. But never mind, it's just one of those things. But maybe deep down I knew that the company was going bust, so maybe I just got myself out in my own time instead of being told to get out. But there you go. That's by the by. But anyway, from there I went to see my GP with my ex-husband, and my GP just stared at me, and he said, I haven't realised, Tony. He said, I've never noticed that. That's what you wanted. And I'm there going, well, look at the screen, because he had my name up on the screen. Every time I go to the doctor, they have his name up, and everything else is on the screen or whatever. And there it was: severe depression, social anxiety disorder, gender dysphoria, blah 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 blah. And I said, look, you see? And he went, yeah. He said, I did see that. He said, but I never saw it in you. And I'm thinking, well, what do you mean? I said, so you don't wear a badge and say, oh, look, I'm trans. Oh, I want to be one. Oh, I want to be this. I want to be that. You don't. You do not wear a badge. And it's down to you to actually tell people or come to terms with it yourself and then explain to others that's who you are. Because they're not mind readers. They're not psychic. They don't know what's going on here. No matter what you tell them, no matter how much you explain, they still won't understand fully. They can understand a little bit, but they can't understand fully. So with my GP, and it was like, and of course I just thought that, oh, he's the way he looked at me. I thought, oh no, he's shocked. And I said to my ex-husband, I said, oh, he is shocked that I come out with it. And he went, no, Tony. He said, I'm not shocked. He said it's just the fact. He said, I'd never noticed it in you. And he said, I've been to Brighton. He said, and I've watched 2 gender reassignment surgeries. He said, so I do know a bit about it, which was wonderful. Which I thought, oh, how lovely, because all the other GPs I'd seen, I'd never ever come across it before, and so they were just very dismissal about it. Apart from him, another doctor as well, but I can't remember his name, but he was stunning. Stunned, I can tell you. And but anyway, so and he was brilliant, and he bent over backwards to get me my first appointment with the gender clinic, which was in Newton Abbot then, now is in Exeter. It wasn't the old hospital in Newton Abbot, now it's in Exeter. Can't remember the name of the street, but it was there. I haven't been there in 6 years, 5 years, 6.5, 5.5 years or something like that. Anyway, and and he bent over backwards to do that, and then I had to wait 6 months to get out. My first appointment was in December, and my first patch was 6th of May 2010, and I had my surgery in February 2013. That's it, yeah, because I'm working out, because wasn't this 4th of May? 4th of May, I had my first patch, and I slapped it on, and I turned around to my ex-husband, and I went, now what? And gosh, that was 9 years ago. Blimey, that was 9 years ago. See, time does go fast, I can tell you. So that, but at that time, it didn't feel as if it was going fast. It was going slower and slow. It was like too slow, if you know what I mean. Slow, because once you come to terms with yourself, you just want everything done just like that, and it's not that easy. Because like I said in my last videos, that once you have an appointment, your first appointment at the gender clinic to see a psychiatrist, then you have to wait 6 months before you can minimum before they'll grant you prescription to get hormones. And sometimes they might think, well, you have to wait a little bit extra and try and work with you, you know, to get to that goal. So, because it's not that easy for them to just dole out hormones willy-nilly, as it were. Oh, willy-nilly. Is that a joke? Is that a joke? But yes, so I'm just checking the time. It's 10 minutes already, flipping heck, and I haven't talked about anything. But yeah, anyway, so I had my first patch then, sorted that out for me, and then I still had to go back every 2 weeks to see a psychiatrist, and then it was every month until I had my surgery, and then it was once. The only thing I can say about the surgery, it's all well and good having it all, and you go, oh yeah, it's marvellous, whatever like that, but it was like being thrown out of somewhere, and it was like, there you go, live your life, you've been sorted, live your life. And that's what a lot of us can't deal with. It's like being left out in the cold. It's like, okay, now what do we do? But they're only there up until the surgery, and then you have one more appointment with them. Hello, young man. One more appointment with them to sign you off, basically. That's what happened with me. And it was like, okay, now I've had my surgery, now what are you going to do for me? And it was like, oh, well, we're not going to do anything. It's like you've had your surgery and that's it now. You go out there and live your life. And a lot of us do find that hard. And I think that's where a lot of us can't deal with it. Excuse me. Simba, stop it. Leave the cat alone. Thank you. Good boy. But that's... Simba! Come here. Honestly, that flaming dog, honestly, never listens. That boy's for you. Men don't listen, never listen to that. But, yes, so that's my only gripe, if you like, is the fact that there was nothing there if I need it, you know. So like, some of us don't need it, but you know, a lot of us do, and I reckon that's why a lot of trans women, especially, this is my own personal thoughts now. But remember, that's why I personally think like a few trans women can't deal with the fact that they've had the surgery and basically that they're now trans women, because they don't go back to the clinic every month or every 3 months or whatever like that. They're not going for blood tests every 3 months. That's another thing you have to do, by the way, is I have blood tests every 3 months, because they have to check your liver and kidney functions and everything like that to make sure it's and your estrogen levels as well. So they have to do that every 3 months up until I have your surgery, and then it's every year from then on. But myself, I haven't bothered going. I'm going next Monday, by the way. So I finally pulled out my fingers, but I hate needles. I bloody can't stand them. Even though I've got a couple of tattoos on my neck, of all places, and people can't believe that I've got them on my neck, because they say that's one of the worst places and the most painful places to have them done. I've got one here and one here, just behind the ears, whatever. I don't know if you can see one there. Oh, I don't know if you can see one there. Can you see it? One there, and then there's another. That's my crow, and there's another one on the other side. So excuse me, I'll extend you again. So yes, it is. People think it's just so easy that especially the people out of that haven't come across people that are trans, you know, and don't understand the trans issues, as it were. Well, it's not issues, it's like steps. It's like the journey itself. So people don't understand how long it can take, and the heartache and the pain, the emotion and everything, negative and positive emotion that goes with it. And it's basically like going through puberty all over again, but instead of going through it in 11, 12, 13 years, we do it in 2, 3 years. And it is a hell of a lot to take on. And of course, I've mentioned this before, we are very, very selfish people. It's just one of those things. It's like, right, now we've come out to ourselves, we've accepted who we are, we've told our family, told our friends, close friends, and we've seen the GP. Now I want it done just like that. It's me. Like, like this video basically, it's just me, isn't it? But no, not really. Well, it is.